Want to build up your chest, shoulders, and triceps? Here's my full push workout routine, 4 exercises only. Calisthenics and weights are on the menu today. I'm going to share with you how I like to build upper body strength and size. Let's get it. No real push day is complete without dips. They're one of the best exercises for building a big, strong chest. Fellas, the first exercise in your workout is the most important. Choose wisely. Pick an exercise that you genuinely enjoy, one that you want to get stronger at, or an exercise that hits the muscles that you're trying to bring up. For me, the dip is a weighted calisthenics compound that gets me fired up to beat my previous best. I love how technical they become at heavier weights, and honestly, they've been one of the biggest assets for building up my size and strength with calisthenics. Warm-ups are an area that many people get wrong. I'll share with you how I like to approach them for peak performance. For dips, simply 1 to 3 progressively heavier sets up to my working weight. Starting off with body weight, even if it's really easy for you, just to get things lubed up and get that technique on point. Then throwing on a 20 kilo plate to get my nervous system firing on all cylinders. Then 40 for reps as the final warm-up before I dig deep and do the real work. For me, I'm a warm-up minimalist. I don't do a million different mobility and activation drills, or I don't skip warm-ups entirely. Honestly, save your time and effort for just beasting out on those working sets to come. You'll notice that I'm using a street lifting technique. I've got a hollow body with my core engaged. I have my shoulders depressed, and I'm only going down to 90 degrees range of motion. This is all done to maximize how much weight I can lift on the dip. Here's a few hacks with your weighted dip to get even stronger. You want to use a long chain length, having the weight down far near your ankles. This way you can squeeze the weight together. This is going to lower your center of mass and make you more stable. With this setup, it smooths out the resistance curve. The load is going to feel more even throughout the rep. With the load positioned low, close towards the feet, it's actually going to reduce the swing because the plate acts as a pendulum and it's aligned with your movement. Basically, in the way that I'm dipping here, it promotes the most efficient mechanics. That lower center of mass, it makes it easier to keep your shoulders depressed and maintain that hollow body position throughout the dip. My goal with dips is to build up my strength. Long term, it'd be awesome to throw around 80 kilos or 4 plates on the dip like a boss. For now, I'm using a mere 60 kilos and I weigh 85 kilos at this stage. I'm not a competitive athlete who has to peak for an event. Patient, pain-free progress is my goal. The blessing is there's no rush. The downside is there's no end date, which means all the accountability rests on me. But I'm free to auto-regulate and take my time. Working hard, but also listening to my body is just as much of an art as it is a science. The unseen aspect of fitness is how slow the grind is for everyone. Progress isn't measured from one workout to the next. It's measured in months. The best advice I can give you for weighted calisthenics is if you control the weight, you control the dip. The weight plate should really travel up and down in a straight line. This shows that you're staying balanced and in control. Besides, the plate is really just an extension of your body. If it's going forward to back, you're probably losing alignment. This tempo, it's better on your tendons, the chest, the biceps, as well as your joints. Hypertrophy-wise, a slower negative is going to create more of that muscle damage, so better for the pecs, growing them bigger at the same time. I like performance being a proxy of success. Am I lifting heavier on my way to dip in the target rep range? That's the only thing that I'm really chasing. The smartest way to go about getting stronger on weighted dips is keeping some reps in reserve. This intensity is the best approach when it comes to getting stronger. So on each set, I'm leaving maybe 2 to 3 reps in reserve, which would equate to roughly 80% of 1RM. As someone who loves combining calisthenics and weightlifting, I'm curious to see how heavy I can get my dip while still juggling other training goals. The truth is, I love exercise variation way too much to specialize in a 1RM lift. That's the trade-off of training like a generalist. Progress, it comes slower. But once you understand the science of gains, it's easier to be firm but fair on yourself and temper your expectations, enjoying the process much more. Moving on, the barbell overhead press destroys your shoulders and also hits the upper chest. I love the overhead press because as you get closer to failure, It feels good when that rep speed slows down and that fatigue builds up in your delts. The best part is fighting for that final rep. You hold your breath. You see the bar stall. You're pushing with everything you've got and it inches forward. Your whole body's shaking, and when you finally lock out at the top, it's pure joy. The struggle is what makes this lift special. It proves to yourself that you can do something that feels uncertain. Doing this, it builds confidence, and few other exercises can match this sensation. There's something primal about hoisting a heavy weight overhead. It's as if my body thinks that I've just lifted a log that was threatening my family or something. Why seated instead of standing? I really struggled to keep my core locked in when doing the overhead press. As the weight gets heavier, I have this bad habit of arching my back a ton, turning it into an incline press. By sitting down, it locks the pelvis into a posterior pelvic tilt, takes care of my posture, and it turns it more into a vertical, pure overhead press. The seated overhead press takes away all of that complexity that you get with standing. There's no leg drive. There's no need to brace your entire body from the feet, legs, all the way up. It's just a pure push. Because you're not dealing with that full body tension or axial loading, it's far less fatiguing overall. You're also not worrying about balance and coordination the same way that you would in standing. Instead, all your focus goes into controlling the bar path and just pushing as hard as you can. That's the stuff that actually builds your upper body. Now, I'm not saying that the standing overhead press is a bad exercise. It's a good full body movement for overall strength. But for now, I'm focused more on the seated variation because it's more localized to the upper body, a little bit less fatiguing, and I can push higher intensities. Here's why I'm using a flat bench instead of having my back supported on an incline bench. This variation makes your upper back work harder because you don't have that external stability, so it's great for strengthening up your thoracic extension and improving overhead mobility. Think of it like a front squat for your upper back. It forces you to use your own strength to stay upright. Of course, this is less stable than using an incline bench for your overhead press, so it's not optimal for maximizing hypertrophy. But for posture and mobility, it's a great choice. I like sprinkling in mobility into my real training. It's about working smarter to become well-rounded so you can have a body that looks good and moves well. I've actually tweaked my lower back in the past doing a standing overhead press. I went too heavy, got too excited, and I paid the price. I don't blame the lift. That was on me. Poor form and poor preparation. These days, I'm much more diligent with my training, and you better believe that I'm working that lower back and core elsewhere in my program. That's why I'm choosing the seated overhead press so that I can actually focus on my upper body and work on those weaknesses elsewhere. And with my current legs push-pull split, doing a standing overhead press the day after legs is asking for trouble. Let's just say that quad cramps once completely KO'd my push workout. We don't talk about that story. Fellas, these old school lifts like the barbell overhead press are what you should be doing to build size and strength. Big, free weight compounds are hard. They keep you honest, and that's why they work. Progress them to heavier weights and you'll have those capped delts and be brutally strong overhead. People are going to ask, hey, what do you do for delts? And you're just going to say, barbell overhead press. They're not going to believe it, expecting a laundry list of 15 different exercises for your shoulders because you're a jacked beast. For best results, I'll put my money on someone that just has a basic home gym with a barbell, some dumbbells, doing bodyweight exercises, who is consistent and progressively overloads, compared to someone who's a weekend warrior fluffing around with all these different machines at the gym every single time. When you're only doing 4 exercises in a workout, you've got to make each one of them count. It's time to build some serious size in these arms. Ring tricep extensions are my best kept secret. Overhead tricep work is a must if you want to unlock your full potential. When your arms overhead, the long head of your triceps, the biggest of the 3, is under a deep stretch. Most pressing exercises don't target this aspect of your triceps. Think push-ups or push-downs. So if you're not doing them, you're leaving gains on the table. All the big boys are doing overhead tricep extensions at the gym in some way, shape, or form. So should you. Rings are my go-to equipment for triceps because they feel so good on your joints and tendons. Of course, this exercise can also be done on a straight bar. The problem is it can be uncomfortable on some people's elbows and shoulders. When doing this exercise, I'm thinking elbows in, hollow body, and keep pushing until I can barely lock out that last rep. Effort is a must for hypertrophy. You've got to be pushing close to failure, if not reaching it, if you want max results. With ring tricep extensions, you're getting core gains for free. You've got a 2-for-1 special right here. Because you're holding that plank position, you're building up that anti-extension strength, but you're also working your triceps overhead at the same time. I'm smart, guys. I'm putting the medicine within the movement. I know a lot of you are skipping your core work. Hey, I'm talking to myself. So by doing this one, you're going to get those jacked arms, but also a capable core. The 8 to 15 rep range works perfectly for overhead tricep extensions. From my experience, if you go too low rep or too high rep, your form tends to break down. I noticed this in myself and others that I see doing this movement. The difficulty of ring tricep extensions is based on how close you're working to the ground. The lower you go, the greater the percentage of your body weight that you're pushing. Once you can hit 15 reps on tricep extensions, I'll make it harder by lowering the rings. That's your form of adding weight in the world of calisthenics. Until you can do feet elevated decline ring tricep extensions, you got work to do. I'm actually talking to myself here, so I've got room to progress with this movement and also bigger triceps to get. You'll notice that this is the only arms isolation exercise in this routine. Given that we've done dips and also overhead press, the triceps have had some indirect work, so it makes sense. I'd much rather put my heart and soul into a few exercises in my workout and actually try. I've been embracing this less is more mindset in my workouts. Fewer sets, but genuine effort, really trying in what I'm doing. Now fellas, if you want to make serious gains, you gotta be following a program. Mixing calisthenics and weights is the perfect way to get big and jacked. Go and download my full hybrid routine at fitnessfaqs.com. The upright row is a controversial exercise. These are bad for your shoulders. This causes shoulder impingement. You're going to feel pain and get injured. Upright rows are actually safe. There's no evidence to suggest that they're actually dangerous. Shoulder impingement is an outdated term that's used on social media. This fear about upright rows makes us misbelieve that our body is weak and fragile. By patiently lifting heavier weights and increasing your range of motion slowly, your body can adapt. Shoulder symptoms from upright rows are often caused by aggressive overload. Going too heavy too soon. Pain is often caused by the load on your shoulders being greater than their capacity. If you're trying to do 50 kilo upright rows, but you can't even lift the barbell without pain, it's not a smart idea. I just think to myself, Olympic lifters who are lifting hundreds of kilos overhead aren't having their shoulders suddenly blow up. Surely, me lifting a fraction of the weight on an upright row isn't that bad. We have so much to gain from movement optimism. Don't let these false beliefs limit your potential. If upright rows just don't agree with your shoulders, relax. Pick something else instead, a face pull or a lateral raise, and carry on. So, why have I been doing upright rows? This exercise, when I first started doing it, it felt really awkward. That internal range, especially when lifting overhead, is something that I've always struggled with. The first few workouts of trying upright rows, I had some mild rotator cuff discomfort just because I lack strength. And that's the exact reason why I'm doing it. It's an area of weakness and it's something that I want to improve. After all, isn't that the exact reason why we exercise in the first place? After sticking with the upright row for 12 weeks, I'm doing it completely pain-free, and I'm lifting pretty heavy now. Now, I don't think this is the best hypertrophy exercise. It's more of a bulletproofing your body in awkward angles type of exercise, preparing you for anything in life. Also, my upper traps are an area that I'm trying to strengthen. The beauty of a well-executed upright row is you're getting that shrug motion, and this has hugely benefited my shoulders. Guys, I've been doing lateral raises for years, and I was just looking for a variation to hit the delts in a different way. That right there is the secret of how you stay consistent and keep exercise fun for years to come. You're rotating in variations that hit the same movement and muscles over time. I like to use straps on upright rows. Here's my thinking. I want to take my grip out of the equation. This way, I can give 100% of my effort into the technique. This way, I'm not tempted to rush through my reps because my grip is starting to fatigue. Instead, I can slow things down, stay controlled, and push that set until I'm genuinely hitting my limit when I can't quite reach that full range anymore. On an upright row, it's the most difficult in that top range, contracted position. So if towards the end of a set, you're only doing half reps, that's a sign of success. Those partials at the end of a set might feel like torture, but they go a long way towards reaching your muscle mass potential. Here's a bonus exercise that I'm doing for longevity: external rotations. No one cares how much you lift on a rotator cuff exercise, but your body does. That's why I don't skip it. I've previously dealt with a ton of posterior shoulder pain when doing overhead exercises. When I'm doing external rotations on the regular, in my training, I'm not skipping this rotator cuff homework. I have zero pain and discomfort. Just doing 2 sets at the end of your push day is really going to help, because if I'm tasked with doing 3 sets of a boring prehab rotator cuff exercise, by the 3rd set, I'm just going through the motions and I'm not really trying. With 2 sets, I go heavy, I keep the intensity high, I keep rotating until I can't lift up all the way, and try and progress that weight heavier from week to week. The goal here is increasing our rotator cuff strength. I really like the elbow on knee external rotation because it reduces the help of the posterior deltoids, and it shifts the emphasis to those smaller external rotators such as your infraspinatus and teres minor. As a result, the motion is pure rotation about the shoulder joint, and you're targeting those little muscles that are important for making your body strong. Expect to improve your shoulder stability. By doing this exercise regularly, you're going to get better joint centration. This way, when you lift your arms overhead, you're not going to get that unwanted anterior instability of your humerus. What does this mean? Strong external rotators translate to more strength when doing overhead exercises, things like barbell or dumbbell overhead press or handstand push-ups. You can do them without pain, no discomfort, and use your full strength. Yay. If you enjoyed this and want to see more of how I work out, watch that video. I'll see you over there.